It's Knob Creek's oldest release yet. 21 years, $250. Let's see if it's worth it. Hey everybody, welcome back to another episode of the Bourbon Hutch, and thanks so much for joining me on this journey through the world of whiskey. So, I could not be more excited today to review what is one of the most hyped up bottles of the year, Knob Creek 21-year-old. This is a massive release, limited edition from Knob Creek, the oldest thing they've ever released. If you're not aware, Knob Creek is sort of a branch distillery of Jim Beam, so part of that line and umbrella, but it's its own thing. So they've done a 15-year, they have a 12-year that's pretty widely available, and I really enjoy the Knob Creek 12. They've done a 15-year, they've done an 18-year, which I do have. I actually pulled it out today, so we can do a little comparison once we're done with the Knob Creek 21. But this is certainly the oldest, most impressive age statement we've seen from Knob Creek. And honestly, in bourbon right now, this is kind of setting an upper limit. Now, we really do hope all those reviews that it's good are true, because it's $250. So you gotta shell out a pretty penny to get this bottle. But with something this well aged, it kind of actually makes sense in my mind that it's this expensive. So excited to dive in today and review it for you. We'll break it down, and then we will compare to the 18 just to see what that 3-year age difference makes. The 18 is also only like $170, so price does come into consideration there. But for now, let's give this bottle its due. Could be a Whiskey of the Year candidate for sure. I'm really excited. Other stats that are important to know, it's 100 proof, so not barrel strength, but the reality is the older a whiskey gets, the more it might need some water just to not be too over oaked. And then of course the other reality is that the longer a whiskey stays in the barrel, the more it evaporates. And so when it comes to something this well aged, I'm sure adding a little bit of water helped them make a few more bottles out of this, and hopefully that means a few more people can taste it and try it. But again, it might also just be the proof at which this has some of the best flavor. All right, without further ado, I'm excited. This has been sitting here opening up for about 10 to 15 minutes now, and I'm ready to dive in. If you've gotten this bottle yet, or if you're hunting this, let me know in the comments below. Let's start a conversation, but for now, let's dive in. All right, on the nose, Knob Creek, 21 year. Wow. Like a gorgeous oak, antique oak core to this thing. Really jumps out of the glass, which is great. There's like a caramel or even salted caramel denseness. But then little pops of like a vanilla brighter note. A touch of a nut, but it's not peanut shell for sure. It's more of like a walnut, dark nut, and rich. But then probably the thing that gives it the most enticing nose quality is a dark fruit note, like a black cherry, plum, fruit that's just something pitted and dark and rich. But I think the star of the show is just that like antique oak that immediately put your nose in there and you're like, whoa, that smells old. Smells like it could be 20 plus years old. All right. The nose is awesome. It's got a little bit of a tiny bit of an ethanol kick at times. That'd be my only knock on it, but otherwise, really, really inviting. All right, let's move to the palate. Cheers, everybody. Oh. Wow. Just keeps going, so give me a minute here. Oh man. I mean, the antique oak thing, rich, creamy oak, but then there's plenty of barrel spice to go with that. Delicious. I mean, really, really good. I mean, I can see this being too much for people, oak-wise. But for me, it's just so good. I love the oak quality on it. Sweet oak, rich, got that barrel spice component. And then, man, it really does have, I even got a little bit of like a chocolate, a strain of caramel, and then that dark fruit, like a black cherry, came through. But it is that oak that sticks around forever, just continues to cling to your palate, turns into a little bit of like a leather tobacco finish, but also has some of that like classic vanilla strain to go with it. You know, when you get those wood sugars really coming out of that barrel, you get that nice vanilla note, and that sticks with me on the finish as well. All right, let's go in for a second sip, see if we can pick out some more flavors. Cheers. Just a quick revisit to the nose. I feel like it's getting a little bit more caramely too, which is not a bad thing. Cheers. Wow. Okay, keeps going again. Second sip, way more of the black cherry. Way more of that almost jam, cherry jam kind of thing going on. Right through the middle of the sip. Like just bloomed up and made it a little bit sweeter. So now that my palate is acclimated to the oak bomb that is this thing, the cherry fruit sweetness took center stage at the middle of that sip, calmed down by the end, and now I'm still getting that vanilla, leather tobacco, oak thing on the finish. The front end gets a little spicy. It gets a little bit like, ooh, I wasn't expecting for 100 proof that there would be that much spice, but it's all barrel spice. It's all like a oak wood spice that comes through, and it's really, really good. But it does take you aback a little bit. Maybe that's one of the reasons it's sitting well at 100 proof, because it's got plenty of spice. Mouthfeel wise, really solid. I would not say it's actually the most viscous thing I've ever had. That could be the 100 proof, slightly watered down feeling. But it's very solid, and I think with the way it kind of clings to your palate and all the tannins and tannic nature to it that kind of sticks with you, it doesn't need to be super, super viscous, but it's solid. All right, let's go in for a final sip. I'll try to track that finish, and then we'll talk about the whiskey overall. Cheers. Nice. So on that third sip, to track it for you, again, I get some of that spice right up front, the barrel characteristic. The middle of this sip still had that cherry, but now I'm getting more caramel. More of like a caramel candy, Werther's original, but dark and rich throughout the middle of the sip into this vanilla, leather tobacco thing, and that oak sticking around for a long time. I mean, this finish is certainly long. It's tending toward one of the longer finishes I've ever had, which is great. That's what you would expect from a 21-year-old bourbon. If I had any knock on it or something I've tracked, especially through that sip, again, maybe coming from the nose, there's like that touch of a little bit of like ethanol or astringency. On the palate, the oak, while it's gorgeous, there is like a tiny, it's like a 1% strain that starts to feel a little astringent, a little bit much for your palate to take, or at least for mine. So maybe not a perfect whiskey, but dang close to it. All right, delicious stuff. Let's compare it to the 18. I'm just fascinated. I haven't done this yet or taken out the 18 and put it directly side by side, so let's see how different they are. Okay, so I got the 18 out. I've had this opening up for the same amount of time as the Knob Creek 21, so should be a pretty fair comparison here. I mean, color-wise, can we see a difference? Not much. I mean, I think the 21 is a few shades darker. Let's go to the 18 on the nose, just coming right off the 21, see what it's like. Oh man. So it's funny, you know, in my collection, if you'd asked me to point to something that had a ton of oak on the nose and the palate, this would have been my original go-to. You know, like, hey, what does an oaky bourbon smell and taste like? I've always associated this with like an antique wood as well. And right now it smells like caramel, lighter caramel. There is some of that oak, for sure. A cherry, but a brighter cherry than the 21. Almost like a raspberry type of red fruit. Caramel, oak, and vanilla. The vanilla, it's a brighter nose overall. It almost feels not young. It doesn't feel young, but the 21 almost makes it feel young. All right, let's go in on the palate. Cheers. Okay. First thing I notice, much tamer sip. The 21 brings spice. It brings that barrel full force at you. The 18 is much more mellow. It's caramel, vanilla, that brighter cherry note. But what this I think has, I mentioned a little bit of nut on the 21 nose, not as much on the palate. This has this really nice, rich, it could be peanut butter, you could call it like a, again, a little bit darker, like a walnut or a chestnut. It's got a nice roasty, nutty richness to it that's sweet as well. And that's a very nice, welcome part of the middle of this sip. But by and large, it feels light and airy compared to the 21. When I compare this to other things, it always feels dense and oaky. But compared to this 21, it's kind of crazy how much younger and lighter it makes the 18 feel. In terms of price point wise, you know, this is the 170, this is the 250. It's a big difference. This is a lot of money. In this case, I do feel like the 21 is justifying itself. This thing is a monster. It is really, really good. You're not going to taste something this powerfully oaky and rich and dense. You know, across the world of bourbon, they're just kind of rare to get those profiles these days. And to pay $250 for it is sort of the price of admission these days to get something like this. Do want to know in the comments below though, have you tried the 21 year Knob Creek? If you haven't, are you still hunting for it? I'd love to start a conversation. And then also, if you've tried the 18 and you've compared them, what did you think and how did they kind of stack up to each other? And after you tasted the 21, did you think the 18 was feeling a little younger and lighter than maybe you ever remembered it being? Curious. All right, that's going to do it, everybody. Till I see you guys again for another video, all I can say is keep drinking good whiskey and cheers.